As MMA continues its global expansion, more and more fighters are coming from countries which might have previously had a focus on other sports, like boxing, for example. And nowhere is this more apparent than in the Philippines, a country with strong boxing traditions who have recently turned towards the sport of MMA. Today, we're discussing some of the hottest MMA fighters from the Southeast Asian nation of the Philippines, so stay where you are. Let's get straight into it. First up, Brandon Vera. Arguably the most well-known Filipino mixed martial artist, The Truth was a staple of the UFC's light heavyweight division, later heavyweight, during the mid-2000s to the early part of the following decade. However, after a good start in the promotion which saw him win his first 4 fights, including an impressive win over Frank Mir, his good form came to an end, and he would only win 4 of his next 12 fights over the rest of his career in the top promotion. A renowned knockout artist, Vera would later turn out for one championship, where he would become their inaugural heavyweight champion. Whilst the 45-year-old is still contracted to one, he hasn't been seen in their octagon for the past 18 months. He would unfortunately lose out for the light heavyweight title in October 2019 when he was bidding to become a 2-division champion, attempting to join the likes of Conor McGregor and Amanda Nunes, who achieved the feat at Vera's old UFC home. Unfortunately, he would lose to Ang Lansang, but he would still go down as one of the greatest Filipino MMA fighters of all time. We're talking Rolando Dai next. Stay with us. Currently signed to Brave CF, Dai turned out for the UFC in 2017 and 2018 over 4 fights, but would unfortunately only win one of them. With an indifferent record of 14-13, he's a former Abu Dhabi Warriors featherweight champion, and it's safe to say fighting is the family business. His father is former WBC featherweight champ Rolando Navarrete. The Parañaque-born fighter has become somewhat of a journeyman since his UFC career came to an end, and he is currently riding a 4-fight losing streak. Of course, he's only 31 years old, so it's still possible for him to turn his career around and arrest the slide. The likelihood of Dai ever making it back to the big leagues of the UFC seems to be out of reach, however. What have you guys made of the career of Rolando Dai? Let us know below. Edward Foliang is coming through now. Foliang is synonymous with ONE FC and has spent the majority of his career with the Asia-based promotion. A now 15-year veteran of the sport, Foliang is one of the most recognizable mixed martial artists in his native Philippines and is a 2-time winner of the ONE lightweight crown. He would unfortunately lose his title to the legendary Shinya Aoki, having previously beaten him to take the title the first time around, before also being defeated by former UFC lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez. Foliang has also competed at welterweight during his career, and although he hasn't been seen in a ONE octagon for more than a year, he's still signed to the promotion. However, his star has faded significantly since those glory days of being the lightweight king, and the superstar Filipino has only won 1 of his last 7. Whether he returns to the ONE octagon in the future is yet to be seen, but considering he's now 38, we wouldn't be surprised to see Foliang hang up the gloves in the near future. Give us your thoughts on Edward below. Next up, it's Kevin Belignon. Stay tuned. Another ONE star, Belignon is a former bantamweight champion and currently holds a decent record of 20-9. Similar to his countryman Foliang, Belignon began his career with URCC before ending up at ONE, where he would claim the interim bantamweight belt with a unanimous decision win over the tough Martin Nguyen. Soon after, he would become the undisputed champ after a split decision win over Bibiano Fernandez, who had previously beaten him via submission. At the time of his coronation, his opponent Fernandez was riding a 14-fight win streak, which makes his achievement all the more impressive. He was ordered to fight Fernandez immediately after relieving him of his title, but would come unstuck in the 3rd fight between the pair as he was disqualified for an illegal elbow. Yet another fight, their 4th, was then booked, but Fernandez would retain his title via rear naked choke submission. Belignon has since lost both fights since the 3 Fernandez fights in a row, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Jehe Eustachio is coming through next. Gravity, as he is known, is another former ONE champion, but despite winning his last 2 fights, hasn't been seen in the octagon since 2020. With a record of 14-8, the Team Lakay fighter is no stranger to adversity, and it's the fact that he has tasted defeat that makes him such a danger in the flyweight division. He has vowed to learn from the mistakes he has made as a fighter in the past, and at just 33 years old, there's no reason why he couldn't make another run at ONE flyweight gold. An avid kickboxer in his youth, Eustachio also studied the Chinese martial art of wushu and competed for his country in the art form. He would later defeat flyweight Kairo Akhmetov to claim the one interim title, solidifying his position in the division shortly after against Adriano Moraes to become undisputed champion. Unfortunately for Jehe, Moraes would get his own back shortly after, but there's no doubting the fact that he's still a contender in the division. And now it's Janelle Lausa. Stay with us. Similar to a couple of other fighters on today's list, Lausa has also turned out for the UFC during his career, but after winning his debut in the promotion against Yao Zuikui, he would lose his following 3 fights before being cut shortly after. Also a professional boxer with a solid record of 10-0-1, Lausa has competed in both disciplines simultaneously over the last decade, but his mixed martial arts career has taken a bit of a nosedive of late, having lost each of his last 5 fights. That being said, the Manila man is still thought to be an active flyweight and was most recently seen turning out at UAE Warriors 28 earlier this year. It's currently unknown as to what the future holds for Lausa, but considering the fact he left Pacific Extreme Combat as their champion, don't be too surprised if he ends up back there in the future. What have you guys made of the career of Janelle Lausa? Let us know below. We have Gina Inyang now. Don't go anywhere. Of course, MMA is dominated by male fighters, but the tide is slowly changing due to trailblazing females such as Rhonda, Meisha, Valentina, and Amanda. And that is slowly filtering through to the Philippines too, where one Gina Inyang is doing her thing as one of the country's brightest female MMA stars. Of course, she trains at the fabled Team Lakay, like so many other fighters from the nation of islands, and as such has become the face of female MMA in the country. Conviction currently holds a record of 9-4, and like so many of her compatriots, turned out for one for the majority of her career, but has since left the promotion, which is a shame considering it seemed like she was on course to challenge for Angela Lee's atomweight title at one point in time. Inyang announced her retirement after her last fight in 2020, but last year decided to reverse her decision, which will have pleased her followers in the Philippines no end. Whether she does actually fight again is yet to be seen, but we sure hope so. And finally, it's Stephen Lohman. The Sniper is almost certainly one of the most exciting fighters in the Philippines right now. Of course, like so many other world-class Filipino fighters, Lohman represents Team Lakay near Baguio in the north of the main island Luzon. And at just 27 years old with a record of 16-2, it seems as though Lohman is destined for great things. He became the first ever Brave CF champion at just 22 years old, and after leaving that particular promotion undefeated, recently signed with the biggest promotion in Asia, ONE. Of course, he has since won his first 2 fights, and right now is making a rapid ascent up the ONE bantamweight rankings. He will challenge current bantamweight king Bibiano Fernandez next month for the title in what would represent a career high for the wushu practitioner. Of course, Fernandez is a world-class fighter, but has proven he possibly isn't the fighter he used to be over the past few years. I mean, he's 42. Could a passing of the torch take place next month? What do you guys think? As always, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to tune in again next time when we will be discussing all sorts of other cool bits. And don't forget to share today's video with your MMA-loving pals, whilst also subscribing to our channel. Bye, guys.